Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Want to know how to protect more of your hard-earned money from the next stock market crash? Well, the answer may surprise you.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, best-selling author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
The date, October 9th, 2007. The stock market had climbed to heights never before seen by savers, but as the old saying goes, what goes up must come down. And down the stock market went. In fact, over the next 18 months, the Dow would go from just over 14,000 to around 6,600. In other words, assuming you had $500,000 in your 401k plan back in 2007, in just 18 short months, it would have plummeted to around $250,000. So here we are again as we record this show on June 2nd, 2021. The Dow is at all-time highs, and there you sit wondering if at a moment's notice history will repeat itself and your 401k will quickly become more like a 201k. What, if anything, should you do? Well, assuming you're in the camp of taking some winnings off the table and safeguarding more of your money, the next dilemma is where are you going to invest these winnings? That is, in a safe place that also provides the possibility of some decent returns on your money. Well, I've got good news because the proven solution to safeguarding your life savings today is the same solution, believe it or not, I offered savers back in 2008, a solution that provides the possibility of some really nice gains, here's the key folks, but without any risk to your principal. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we share with you this tried and true method of safeguarding more of your money, let me introduce to you the producer of the Worry-Free Retirement. Of course, he's America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, and appreciate you coming in this morning to be with us. And as we prepare also for the television show we'll be recording shortly thereafter. Incidentally, Aaron, as always, let's remind the folks how we can listen to past episodes of the radio show and also watch that TV show on YouTube.
Sure, no problem, Tony. So if you want to listen to past episodes of the Worry-Free Retirement, folks, all you got to do is go to SoundCloud.com, and right there in the search bar, just type the Worry-Free Retirement. You're going to see our awesome bobblehead. Just click on that and you're going to find all past radio shows. If you want to watch the television show, just head on over to YouTube.com. That's YouTube.com. And in the search bar there, just click on Tony Walker Financial. And you'll see Tony's smiling face. Just click on that and you're going to find all types of video content.
Thank you, Aaron. And then Derek Hudson, Louisville's most laid-back graphics man, just walked in. We don't have him mic'd up, though. You doing okay, Derek? Yeah, you've got your 48-ounce $6 coffee there. I still haven't taught you to just drink the cheap stuff, right? I thought you used to drink the cheap stuff. That's right. It almost killed me with it. Well, that's actually a good point. Keep drinking the good stuff. And last but not least, all the way up from our Lexington, Kentucky offices, is my favorite nephew, fellow fiduciary, Mr. Wesley Walker. Wes, how you doing today, partner?
Pretty good, Tony. How are you?
Good, good. You haven't really been in the studio with the new digs. We're going to be doing a TV show shortly. How do you like how we've revamped things?
I mean, it's a motif in here. It looks awesome. I like the desk, the new format. I think it all looks great.
Well, great. And we're going to be talking about a product that's near and dear to my heart and one you're kind of learning more about. We'll get into that. But folks, if you're wondering, okay, Tony, yeah, I'm one of those people that's pretty nervous about the stock market. I'm worried it's going to crash at any point. I remember all too well '08. What in the world can I do to try to guarantee a portion of this hard-earned money. And here we go. Aaron, give me a drum roll, please. That's right, folks. Annuities. Now, wait a minute. Before you shake your head and run off to the next free dinner seminar pitching annuities, or worse yet, start Googling around on the internet to get as confused as one can stand, let me remind you, very important fact, annuities have been around stabilizing people's retirement for over 100 years. Folks, these are tried and true products. The problem is, here's the big problem, it's not always the annuity that's the problem, it's the people pitching the annuities. In fact, we've come up with a saying, and that's really the title of our show. Here's the title, Wes. See if you like this. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity.
That's great.
Isn't that awesome? In fact, I thought it was so good of a title. Do you see those little notepads there in front of you we just had made up? What's that say on that little yellow sticky pad?
Yeah, notice a litlittle text at the top of those, and yeah, it parrots your quote there. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity.
So, and it was funny yesterday, Aaron, you know all the people. You were in here every Tuesday and Wednesday when I'm in Louisville. You saw all the people come in. I had two different people, Aaron, that came in. They had purchased annuities years ago. And when we analyzed the annuity, guess what they said when I started talking to them about the annuity? Do you think they really understood it, or do you think they were probably surprised at what I was sharing with them in terms of what they could not do with the annuity?
Oh, I think they knew more than you did. No, I'm just kidding. No, they probably had no idea.
Yeah, the one fella, nice guy. He, I won't name the company. We don't name companies, folks. But he brought out an annuity. He had purchased it about 3 or 4 years ago. He was not happy. I think the advisor had either gotten out of the business. I don't remember. But anyway, he said, well, what I want to do with this annuity, he's getting ready to retire, is start drawing income. I said, that's fine. Let me see the annuity. Well, it's an annuity we do sell. Again, won't name the product. What little he didn't know, nor was told, Wes, is that you cannot, on this particular annuity, this is an unusual contract, you cannot draw out of that annuity for 10 years. So, yeah, that's what he said. I told him that. I know through the magic radio you can't see Wes's face, but that's the way this gentleman looked at me like, no, I don't believe you. So I had to show him in the contract, you cannot draw income for 10 years. And here's what he said, Wes. He said, well, he said I was going to make 5 to 6% and I could get this income at any time. And I said, sir, I don't know what to tell you, but that's just incorrect information. So, folks, therein lies the problem. First of all, as I like to say about any product, and remember, this show is dedicated to helping savers. Anybody listening to this show is more than likely, does not like a lot of risk. Is that fair enough, Wes?
I'd have to say anybody who listens to the Worry Free Retirement or comes in to see us is pretty risk averse.
Yeah. So if you're out there riding around right now, or maybe you've read a lot of articles really bashing annuities, the problem is those are probably people that are more what we call investors and speculators. So I don't bash people that like investments. That's, we sell some investments through Charles Schwab. I don't mind some of that. But people, you have to understand, if you're a saver out there, this is why you're so worried right now. You've probably had a great run-up in the stock market, and you're sitting there and you start thinking about 08. I had to remind them about it, right? But that's the bad news. It could happen again. It's happened many times. I mean, not just 08. Oh, I was reading an article about the Great Depression. Now, the Great Depression was awful. I mean, people lost 90% of their earnings in the market, Wes. But you know how long it took for that money to drop to 90%? What period of time? Have you ever studied that?
Was it just a couple months or something like that? Or
no,
it was 1929, right?
Yeah, but it's about 33.
Okay.
So what this article was, a great article, it was pointing out, it said, yeah, that's true, it dropped 90%, but it was about a 4-year span. This drop we had in 08 was 18 months.
That's quick.
That's really quick and hard to react, because usually when it's dropping that quick, most people's reaction is, well, it probably will come back, I'll wait. I remember those days because I had clients calling me. Many of them I told you better take some winnings off the table. Now it's like, well, do I take it out now? Well, it's down 50%. It's kind of hard to sell off at 50% loss. So folks, what we're going to do when we come back, I'm going to share with you the 4 types of annuities very briefly, but more importantly, the 2 proper uses of annuities. Good stuff coming your way. You stay tuned. You're listening to the Worry Free Retirement.
With 10,000 people turning 65 every day, there's a lot of advisors selling a lot of annuities. This is why we're hosting our latest free educational workshop, Don't Get Stuck in the Wrong Annuity, on July 28th and August 4th at noon and 6 p.m. in our Lexington office. You'll learn the pros and cons of annuities and how to be sure that the annuity you're considering is right for you. To register, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-9255.
One of the most frequent questions I'm asked is this: Tony, when can I retire? It's a great question and one that many advisors are afraid to tackle. Why? I think it's because most advisors do not truly understand retirement planning and how and why a written game plan is the key to being worry-free after you decide to retire. I know this to be true based on all of the daily interviews I conduct with savers who are retired or nearing retirement and simply need help in making sure they can retire worry-free. My personal experience in meeting with over 15,000 savers has allowed me the ability and expertise to quickly determine for that saver if he or she can retire, and if so, when. Sadly, many people who do retire with no written game plan and no full service team of local retirement specialists to assist them do later on begin to worry. We know what you can expect in retirement, and we know how much you should have saved based on your particular needs and goals. Our proprietary software, coupled with a well-trained staff, will give you the confidence you need in deciding to retire and when to begin using and enjoying this money that you've worked so hard to save. We're a little unusual at Tony Walker Financial because besides myself, we offer 3 highly trained service fiduciaries who do not work on a commission basis, but are paid a salary to be there to service what I sell. It's an unusual arrangement, but one I think you'll find to be in your best interest. You'll know that you have competent advice along the way, not only when you retire, but long into retirement. So if you are retiring, thinking of retiring, or know of someone who isn't sure about how to go about retiring, why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. We look forward to helping you enjoy a worry-free retirement, and as always, we're happy to meet or talk to you about your situation at no cost or obligation. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. In case you're just now joining us, we're talking about how to avoid losing a bunch of money if and when the next stock market correction happens. And quiz for you, Wes. I love to quiz you when you haven't had a chance to study this, but you might know this answer. So we talked about 2007, market at all-time highs, drops in 2008 and 2009. By the time it hits March of 2009, 18 months, the market has dropped by 1/2. In other words, if you had $500,000, you now have $250,000. Now imagine, we're not talking about somebody like you who's a young man who can wait this out. Imagine you're retired and you're going through this. What is your first reaction? You just retired yesterday and this market is plummeting. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I better get the vest to be the greeter at Walmart. I'd probably be pretty nervous.
And that's what happened, actually. And all kidding aside, folks, a lot of people, I remember, went back to work. I mean, they couldn't stay retired. So, but the key here is how long in 2008 did it take to get back to break even? Do you know how many years it took before, it was around 14,000. How many years it took once it dropped to get back to 14,000 again?
Well, best guess, we started back on that bull run in 2013, so just best guess, I'd say 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's about 4.5 to 5 years. So again, folks, this show is dedicated to savers. It's dedicated to people who are retired or nearing retirement. You have to imagine, unfortunately, you kind of have to think worst case scenario. I'm not trying to be a pessimist, I'm just a realist. And this is why we've introduced, since 9/11, I've sold probably as many individual annuities as anybody in the country, but this is why we've kind of focused on what we call fixed annuities. Now, we do not do variable annuities. We will occasionally do immediate annuities. We're not going to define those. We're defining today what are fixed annuities. So anytime you hear the word fixed, F-I-X-E-D, fixed annuities, that means the principal is guaranteed. You cannot lose principal. Am I being pretty clear on that, Wes?
Can't lose any of the money you put in.
Right. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about those annuities? I've heard the fees are ridiculous. Well, they're talking about variable annuities. Variable annuities are invested directly in the stock market. That's not what we're talking about. We don't sell variable annuities. We're talking about fixed annuities. Now, there's 2 types of fixed annuities. And what we're talking about today is what's called accumulation annuities. Next week when you join us, we'll be talking about income annuities. Still fixed annuities, but income annuities, and that's what I like to call my beloved mailbox money. So again, folks, I know this may sound complicated. You got to stay with me, though, because you have to understand, as we like to say, with 10,000 people turning 65 every day, there are a boatload of people out there after your money, whether it's dinner seminars, Google ads. People know that you have money, and they know many of you are not sure what to do with it. They know you're scared, they know you're nervous, and they are going to be pitching annuities. So just be aware. Oh, incidentally, Aaron, tell them how they can order, actually it's absolutely free. We've got a brand new booklet, the Annuities Decision Guide for Savers, is now called Annuities Made Easy. Tell them how they can go to the website and download that free of charge.
Sure, no problem. All you got to do, folks, is go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and in that search bar right there, right next to Tony's face, just type in downloads. You want to type in downloads, go to the downloads page and just fill out a little bit of information, and we'll make sure you get that either by the mail, you can order it by the mail, or you can order a PDF version of it.
Thank you, Aaron. And that, people all the time, Wes, go, you got any good reading material? I mean, I literally wrote the book on annuities. I've done these things so long, Wes, and I've seen about everything. So I'm telling you, folks, if you own an annuity or thinking about buying an annuity, please get this Annuity Decision Guide. And Wes, you had a good idea. You were looking at that little... tell people what they could do. So we could even mail them a few of these.
I tell you what, if you want the real package, just email me. It's wes@TonyWalkerFinancial.com. I'll attach one of these Don't Get Stuck in the Wrong Annuity notepads to your Annuities Made Easy guide. That way, if you have questions, you can just mark them down on the notes, stick that note to where you've got the question, bring that in, or send me an email, and we can definitely go over any questions you have on annuities.
That's awesome. Yeah, speaking of questions, I'm going to go over something I want you to say in just a second, Wes. So with a fixed indexed annuity, we're going to talk about those right now. No, wait a minute, fixed interest annuities. Fixed interest annuities, folks, are kind of like CDs in a way. So if you're out there, maybe you've had some CDs, and you're looking for something with a decent rate, maybe a 3-year guarantee, 5-year guarantee, you can walk away anytime you want after that period of term is over. Wes, and these will change. By the way, again, we're filming this in June of 2021. These rates are not guaranteed unless you lock them in. But really, where are we right now on fixed interest rates, Wes?
So remember, these products are for accumulation. We're not going to plan on taking income from either of these, but if you just wanted a place to safeguard your money and get some simple appreciation on them, the 3-year rate, best rate we've got right now is 2.1%, and then on a 5-year contract for a what's called a MIGA, multi-year guaranteed annuity, or fixed interest annuity is 3%.
That's not bad, folks, in today's environment. So if you really are a saver and maybe you don't want to tie up money long term, one of the misconceptions is, my money's all tied up. But we can set up very short-term annuities. That's the part of meeting with somebody that really understands these products. There are so many different products out there. And in fact, West, in just a second, we're going to go to our Heather Hughes, who does all of our research. You've been to Bowling Green more and more and kind of studied under Heather. What could you share with us about her expertise?
Well, she's definitely been in the world of annuities for a while, and she is pretty well versed at shopping rates, making sure that if a contract someone's looking to take out, making sure it's right for them, and making sure they get the best rate on it too. So, we're the best or the most competitive when it comes to particularly these fixed interest contracts.
And before we go to Heather, if you have a fixed indexed annuity, folks, remember they participate in the stock market. They're not actually invested in the stock market. That's how they can keep your money safe and you have no risk. But just in maybe a couple minutes here, Wes, I hold in my hand what's called an allocation sheet. So if you have a fixed indexed annuity, you may get these once a year, and it shows you where your money's allocated. And basically, Wes's job, because we've got several thousand of these annuities, is once a year when the contract renews, the insurance company that issues the annuity is going to send you an allocation sheet saying, do you want to invest these money in what's called these different indices? So without getting too complicated, Wes, I printed one off. We don't have the names of the person on here, but give some options in terms of what you do with these sheets for our clients when they come in once a year.
Sure. So remember, again, talking about accumulation, the one with the guaranteed interest rate is called a fixed interest annuity. Now, this annuity we're talking about with allocations is called a fixed indexed annuity. So it's linked to the stock market, but there's no risk of principal loss. Whatever you put in there, you'll keep that level floor, and then hopefully if the market goes up, you'll catch some of the upside. So what we do is every contract anniversary for each of our clients with annuity contracts, we'll look at the what's called cap and participation rate. So that's how much the insurance company is willing to pay you on the contract in terms of percentages every year. So we'll look at those caps, look at the participation rates, see if they're going up or down, and then adjust each person's allocations accordingly so that they've got the best shot to make some money in the coming year.
And we have to admit, it's really kind of an educated guess. There's times, like even on this one, we missed the mark a little bit. There was a couple of indices that actually were higher than we had anticipated, but still, and this is just an example, folks, on this one, this was about $276,000. We put it a fourth in each of these different indices, and you kind of averaged it out. What did they make on this contract for the past year, Wes, without any risk?
Yeah, so 3 of the indexes garnered about 2.25%, and then the 4th index we picked actually did really well, 11.12. So when you average those all out, they made about 4.47% on the contract. So that's good money on $276,000.
Yeah, especially when you don't have any risk. And then the beauty of that is, folks, unlike the stock market, which could go down at any point, now this contract is going to have what we call a new floor. So any index credits that are made on this contract, let's say it was at 276, so roughly, we'll just call it 4% so I can do the math, that made about $10,000. The $10,000 will be added to the $276,000, and even if the market goes down next year and crashes, they still have now their $286,000. So pretty good deal. Now here's what we're going to do. So that's one of the things we do. We really make sure our clients understand the annuities. We service what we sell. We continually monitor those annuities to make sure we're doing the best we can to keep them properly allocated, watch the participation rates. Oh, incidentally, Wes, I noticed the next year's participation rate on this contract, they're dropping it, right?
So that's what you want to look out for. If you see any big drops in those, a lot of times that's where we might make a shift into another index.
Yeah, and I'm going to, before we close out the show, remind me to share a new product we've got that actually will lock in the participation rates for 5 years. Pretty unusual contract. Tell you what, we're going to get set up here with a Zoom call with our own Heather Hughes in the Bowling Green office. You stay tuned. I'm going to have Aaron run a quick break. We're coming right back. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker, and our topic today is accumulation annuities. We'll be right back.
With 10,000 people turning 65 every day, there's a lot of advisors selling a lot of annuities. This is why we're hosting our latest free educational workshop, Don't Get Stuck in the Wrong Annuity, on July 28th and August 4th at noon and 6 p.m. in our Lexington office. You'll learn the pros and cons of annuities and how to be sure that the annuity you're considering is right for you. To register, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-9255.
Tired of the financial world chasing after your money? Dinner, seminar invitations, annoying pop-up ads on your computer from out-of-state advisors? It all adds up to confusion. There is a better way. Meet in person with nationally recognized retirement specialist Tony Walker. Tony's personal one-on-one approach has helped thousands of savers worry less about money, and best of all, Tony's right in our own backyard. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Make the short drive to meet in person with Tony now. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. So we've been talking about how we service the current clients that we provide the annuities to, but how do we find and go about researching competitive annuity products with all these different products out there? How in the world is Tony Walker Financial able to represent so many companies? Well, as a fiduciary, that's our job, but one of the persons in charge of that is fellow fiduciary Heather Hughes out of our Bowling Green office. Let's go to Heather right now. Well, good morning, Heather, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, good morning, Tony. How are you today?
We are doing great. Of course, we got my favorite nephew, Wes Walker, here in the studios with us. And we wanted to break and talk a little bit with you because obviously Wes has been very impressed as he studied under you, trying to learn more about annuities. And of course, today's program, we'll talk about income annuities next week, maybe rope you into one of those Zoom calls too. But today's particular show, Heather, is about accumulation annuities. So if you would please kind of tell the viewing audience the amount of work that we provide our clients and prospective clients in terms of these products and what you do on a daily basis as you research various accumulation annuities.
Well, sure, I'd be happy to. So, you task me a lot to just research and investigate what probably is the best annuities for our clients. That's just not a quick, tap of the button. You can't Google best annuities and get anything honest. So, I have a whole system. Typically I'm looking at between 25 and 30 carriers of different annuities. I look at their ratings, how long they've been in the annuity business, different crediting methods, renewal rates, things like that. Typically, we're working with between 12 and 13 carriers at a time. So it's a lot to keep track of, but, we're trying to find the best annuities for our clients that fit their needs.
Yeah, well spoken. Also, too, our theme happens to be don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Share with our viewing audience the things we see week in and week out. In fact, I just met with a couple here in Louisville yesterday, on this very notion. They came to us, they had several annuities they purchased a couple of years ago, had no clue what they were, what the game plan around them was. So what is the potential drawback of rushing out and just buying any old annuity?
Well, because annuities are contracts, they have a certain time frame or a surrender period that you have to be mindful of, which is not necessarily a problem if it's worked into a good game plan and you know how to use it. Oftentimes, clients are thinking that they can, pull out a good chunk of their annuity to, like buy a new home or something like that. You really have to kind of build that into the game plan to make sure you've got funds available. Another thing to be kind of mindful of if they're talking to someone selling an annuity are bonuses. Bonuses aren't necessarily a bad thing, but then they're also tied to typically longer surrender periods, maybe a little less crediting as far as allocations go and things like that.
Very good. Well said, Heather. And I tell you what we're going to do, running out of time here. I think what we'll do next week, if you don't mind, we'll be talking about income annuities, and would appreciate you sharing with the viewing audience at that time how we go about selecting various income annuities for our clients. But in the meantime, thanks for your time, and you make it a good day there in Bowling Green.
Thanks, Tony. You're welcome. Look forward to it.
You're welcome as well. Thank you, Heather. All right, that was a wonderful interview with Heather. We appreciate her work so much. So, Wes, have you heard about this new product we fell upon? Again, we just get out there and research the market. It's a 5-year fixed indexed annuity. But folks, in case you're just now joining us, the one gripe that I do have about annuities is they can monkey with what's called the participation rate. In other words, if the market goes up, how much of that market gain are you going to make, right? And those participation rates have come down over the years due to the low bond yields that these insurance companies can offer. So you got to remember, folks, an indexed annuity is not invested in the stock market. It's invested in corporate bonds and mortgages and other safe assets. And as those rates have dropped, unfortunately, that's affected how much the insurance company can pay you. Now, again, I can't name this company, but this is some cool stuff. So briefly, how this works, this particular company will write a 5-year fixed indexed annuity. So after 5 years, Wes, you could walk away, take your chips, whatever it makes, go home. There are absolutely no fees on this contract, no risk. And what they'll do currently, as of the date, June 2nd, 2021, this could change, but if you lock in the contract currently, they'll guarantee 65% participation rate for the full 5 years.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So that way, at least whatever the indice they have makes, you're going to get 65%. If it goes up 10%, you get 6.5. If it goes up 3, you get whatever that is. If it goes up 20, you get 13. But remember, folks, anything you get is earned and locked in. So folks, if you're sitting there saying, Tony, I didn't know these products even existed. Maybe I've fallen into all these misconceptions, didn't understand them. How can I learn more about annuities? And more importantly, Tony, how can I find out if they're right for me? Well, that's easy. All you got to do to meet with me in person or talk with me by phone at no cost or obligation, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or how about this? Just give us a call, 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-9255. Just tell them you'd like to talk to Tony about your situation, and we'll be happy to see if we can help. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. Next week, guess what? We're going to have Wes back on again, and we're also going to tell you about some exciting news coming up as we talk about income annuities. So between now and then, Wes, you be prepared, right?
Sure thing.
Okay, we enjoyed having you on. Folks, you make it a good day, and until next week, you've been listening to the Worry-Free Retirement, and remember, if all else fails, you be worry-free.